Hey, it's Lori and it's craft day. I'm going to share it with you this time. So here's all my stuff on my messy table. I got out all my supplies. I'm going to use these Dollar Tree the egg and the couple of bunnies here. And these were only $1.25. I thought they were pretty nice for $1.25. And this was a package of bunnies, also $1.25. I'm going to use those for a different project. And here's these. I like these, but I didn't really love the kind of marbled look, so I'm going to redo them. And the frames came apart. So the one frame came apart. This one right here came apart when I picked it up. So they come apart super easy. And I didn't realize that, but now I know. So anyway, I'm going to be taking off the stuff on the front and we'll be redoing those and getting them looking just the way I want them. And I also have this scrapbook paper. This came from Walmart, and it's just got a nice variety of scrapbook paper in it. So I'm going to choose some of that to use today. And the frames, I just wanted them to be a little bit darker. They do have some flaws in them, but it's really not a problem in the end. So I just wanted to darken them up a little bit. So that's what I'm doing. And here it is in comparison. I put a little bit of paint on this one already. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to darken them up, make them look a little bit more like wood, because I don't really know what they're made of, but but I wanted them to look a little bit more like wood. So that's what I'm doing. And like I said, there's some flaws in it, but that's what it looks like when you put paint over the flaw, but you don't really notice it in the end anyway. So it's really not a big deal. And I'm just using this Waverly ink chalk paint. It's just black paint, but this frame is a lot lighter than the other one. I just want to, like I said, darken it up a little bit. This paint does not adhere to this type of frame very well. So the way I'm doing it, it's fine though. And I'm just wiping it away with a tissue. That's just like a Kleenex, like a tissue. So, and I just keep doing it until I'm happy with it. So here's my inspiration piece. I took a little screenshot of it, and I don't remember where I got this from, if it was Pinterest or if it was something I saw on Facebook or what. I don't remember, but I've had this picture for a while, and this is my inspiration piece. So I'm just kind of showing you. I'm not going to be doing the bow. I'm going to do something else because I don't have that kind of ribbon, so I won't be doing the bow, but that's my inspiration piece. So the bunnies, I was just noticing that some of them have the grain going a different direction. Like, I want to use, for the purple, the ones that I stain purple, I want to use the grain that goes up and down as opposed to the one that goes sideways. So I just happened to notice that. I just thought I'd point it out. Okay. So yeah, the first thing I want to do though is, for the ones that I'm going to make purple, I'm going to pop off their little tails because I don't want to get anything on the tails. I still want them to be nice and white. So we're just going to pop the tails off, and excuse my hands, but I get into my work, I guess. I have a little bit of water in this tiny little dish, and here's some paint. It's Wisteria Vine. I don't even know where this paint came from, you guys, so I can't tell you. I have no idea. But I've had people give me paint in the future, no, in the past, and I'm just mixing it with water. So yeah, I've got lots of paint to choose from, but I don't know where a lot of it came from. So yeah, I'm just mixing it up with all that water and taking a cloth. This is just a piece of a t-shirt, some old t-shirts that I cut up, and I use them. This is what I use them for. I'm also going to need a baby wipe for this because I'm going to wipe it away. So I'll show you what I do. But guys, I'm going to go out of frame, and I know it. But this is why I don't do craft videos. But that's why I'm not a craft channel. I'm out of frame. But that's one of the reasons anyway. So, but I show it to you in the end, so it's all good. But yeah, so, and you just keep kind of working at it until you get it the way you like it. It's really hard to mess it up doing it this way. So yeah, you just basically put the paint on and wipe it away with the baby wipe. Okay, and like I said, you just keep messing with it until you get it looking the way you want it to look. And you don't even have to worry about that little spot where the tail was, because the tails are going back on when before I put it back together anyway. So that's not going to matter one bit. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to get all these done in purple, and while I'm doing that, I'll show you what I'm doing next. Okay, so here's the backings from the things that the frames fell apart. and they have flaws in them. So that's the reason why I did a layer of black, like a couple coats. I don't remember if I did one coat or two coats, but anyway, it's got black on it first just to kind of cover up those flaws. It seems to work out better that way if you cover it with black first, because I do want them to be white, but if I start with white, I'm going to have to do so many coats. And here's the white, but I'm thinking that's really bright white. Kind of want something a little less bright. So I'm going to grab this antique white, and again, I didn't buy this. It was given to me, so I'm just going to use it because I have it. I have a lot of paint, and I hardly ever buy this, so I honestly don't know where it came from. So anyway, you can see when it goes into that white tray, the difference. It's not bright white. It's an off-white, an antique white. So I'm just going to get the first coat on, and I already know ahead of time it's definitely going to take more than one coat on this for the white, but I'm just going to get that on, and I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing because a lot of the time you're just going to be seeing my hand, if I'm being honest. So again, like I said, I don't do craft videos for a reason. But yeah, I'm just going to try and get it so there's not a whole lot of brush marks. But yeah, so I'm just going to lay that aside and get this next one done. And this time I just decided to squirt the paint right on. And I know that's too much paint, but that's fine because I'm going to be using this off-white paint again for the next thing I'm going to do, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. But yeah, I just want to get that first coat on and get it drying because I know for sure it's going to take more than one coat. Okay, and here's what I'm doing with that paint next. I'm going to put like a base coat on these bunnies. Of course, I got to get rid of that sticker. I hate stickers. Okay, so I'm just going to get a base coat on these bunnies to get them kind of transformed the way I want them to be. Okay, and here they are all covered with the antique white, and I'm going to go in with some of this this antique wax. It's just a brown. It's by Waverly, and I'm going to use this, I don't know, chippy brush, this little round brush. It came from Dollar Tree. I think it was a pack of maybe 3. I don't remember. I've had these brushes for quite a while, so I don't remember. Don't mark my words. But I want the bunny to have like some swirly brown fur. So I'm going for rustic is what I'm doing. So it's kind of what I'm going for. So we're just going to swirl it. I'm just going to put the brush on and swirl. And like I said, mostly I show you my hand. So anyway, we're just going to get this bunny covered like this. And it's going to look kind of weird at first. But like I said, I'm kind of going for rustic. So, and you can kind of just dab it on there too. And give it some swirls and on the side. So it looks like he has some swirly fur. And yeah, I'm just going to get this whole bunny covered, get the other one done. And now we're going to get out the Waverly chalk paint and ink. So it's just black paint. And I'm using some fancy tools this time. I'm using a toothpick. Yeah, so you don't need anything fancy. You just need stuff like a toothpick. Okay, so I'm going to use the toothpick to get into that little spot right there where his mouth is. I just wanted to give it a little bit. I wanted to be able to see it, give it some kind of definition so you could actually see it. And a toothpick just works really well for that. Kind of gets right in there. So that's what I'm using. I'm going to use it for his eyes too. I want to be able to see the eyes. So, and I like to do this. I like to take my time and just take my time with it. It's kind of relaxing that way. But just get the toothpick right in there and put the eyes on. Now I'm using this cherry blossom pink. Again, I don't know where it came from. I really don't know where it came from. But yeah, and I'm only going to need the littlest bit for this because I'm going to do his nose. And I'm just going to put the littlest dot right here. And we're going to be using another fancy tool here. This time we're using a Q-tip or a cotton swab. That actually is a Q-tip though. But okay, so I'm just going to use that Q-tip for just dabbing a little bit of paint on his nose. Give him a little pink nose. It works out perfectly. So again, you don't need fancy tools. If you got toothpicks and Q-tips, you're all set. Okay, so this time I'm going to use my finger. And I'm just going to put a little bit of paint in his ear. A little bit pink. A little pink. Give him a little pink ear. just like that. And there we go. You just do this until you're happy with it. Get the other one done too. Give him some pink ears. And here it is. I'm happy with it. Okay, next we got the wooden bunnies. So the wooden bunnies and the egg too. So they do have the stickers on the back, and I want to take those off because I like to finish the back, but it's not going to matter a whole lot. It's not going to be seen anyway, but I don't know. I just feel better if the back has some sort of finish on it. And these stickers have to come off to do that. So these things are, I don't know what kind of glue they used for these, but I'm telling you, they are on there. I had to get out the heat gun, heat up the sticker really good, and that way it kind of heats up that adhesive on the back of the sticker, and the sticker just peels right off like nothing. Or that's what it's supposed to do. You can use a hairdryer for this too. You don't have to have a heat gun, but I have one, so I'm using it. And here we go. This should just peel right off, but it doesn't. It doesn't. So like I said, I don't know if they super glued these things on or what, but they do not want to come off. So yeah, I have to get in there and scrape it off with my little plastic scraper, which works, but I would have been happier if it would have worked with the heat gun. Then it would have probably taken off all the adhesive too, or at least the biggest share of it. But this way it didn't. It left it with a square on there with the adhesive. So I'm going to take my little sander to it and sand that off as good as I can, at least. Okay, so here they are. This has a little flaw in the front, but I don't really care. It's fine. It's not going to matter once I'm finished anyway. But you can kind of see where that sticker was right there. I'm just noticing that I didn't get all the adhesive. So I'm going to go back in with the little sander and get that off. But yeah, in the back of the bunnies, the one has a lot of sticky stuff still on it. And I was just going to leave it like that, but I'm deciding now that I can't. I just have to try and sand it off. Sometimes I try to be more perfect than I need to be. But anyway, next we're going to go in with some of this, and my idea is that I'm just going to rub it on just like I did with those purple bunnies. But you'll find out I quickly decide that I don't like using the cloth, and I just moved to the paintbrush instead. But you can tell, you wipe it away again with the baby wipe, but you can definitely tell where that sticker was. So I'm just going to get it as good as I can and call it done. But anyway, we're going to go in with the brush this time, and for whatever reason my paint is kind of chunky, lumpy. It has little bits all through it. It needs strained. I'm not going to strain it. I'm just going to use it like this, and you'll be able to see the little lumps. Once I get more paint on, you'll see them. So like I said, I'm just going in with the brush this time. Get it on a little bit quicker, but see how it's kind of lumpy? Yeah. But it's fine once I get it wiped away with the baby wipe. You can't see the little lumps anyway. It wipes them all away. I'm really happy with the way this finish looks. I'm loving it already. So yeah, that's a good way to make it look like a stain. And I got the bunnies done the same way. And here's what the backs look like. So they're not perfect, but that's okay. And I got the sides painted too. Painted the back and the sides. And yeah, I'm really happy with the looks of this. So here is the scrapbook paper that I chose. And it's just like cursive. It looks like old style cursive writing. I don't even know what it says, what the words are, but I like it. And I'm going to put it on one of these bunnies. So I'm deciding which one I want to use. And I think I like the finish best on this bunny. So I'm going to put it aside and cover this one. They don't look a whole lot different, but that's what I decided. And I was going to put it on the egg too, but I decided to leave it because I really like the finish. So I'm just going to do it with this bunny. And I'm going to go ahead and trace it out on this paper and get it cut out. And I decided I'm going to put it off to the side as far as possible. That way, if I want to use the other half of the paper for something else in the future, I can, because I save everything. Okay, so I'm just going to trace around it and get it cut out. Okay, and I should have done this before, but I didn't. That way it could be drying. But I'm going to put a coat of Mod Podge on this bunny because we're going to be decoupaging that paper on, but I'm going to do it a little bit different than, I don't know. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm going to be showing you anyway, but I don't like the way decoupage sometimes gets wrinkles and bubbles in it, so I'm going to do a little bit different this time. I'm seeing some little fuzzies on the edge there, but it's fine. They're going to come off in the end anyway. And just get it all covered all the way to the edges with Mod Podge, and then we're going to set it off to dry. And I'm going to take a wet baby wipe here and just wrap my sponge brush in it because I'm going to be using it again. We're getting another coat of Mod Podge on that bunny. So, and I don't want my sponge brush to dry while my bunny's drying, or I won't be able to use it again. So I just put it in this bag and it keeps it from drying out. Okay. Now we're going to move on to these frames, and I'm just going to get those put back together. I'm just trying to see which back goes with which frame. Okay, so I'm going to be, well, first I have to plug this thing in, don't I? Okay, so this coaster right here, I use it to catch my hot glue drips. And when this drips out, that way it doesn't drip on my table, it'll drip on the coaster instead. So I'm going to be using some E6000. I'm just kind of putting it back together to make sure it looks good. E6000 for the permanent hold, and then the lid's glued itself on. So I'll show you how I fix that from happening next time. I just take some petroleum jelly, some Vaseline, whatever you want to call it, with a Q-tip, and put it into the lid. Put it on the threads. Okay, a couple little dots of the E6000, and we're going to do a dot of hot glue in the middle to kind of hold it quickly. That way I don't have to sit here and wait for that E6000 to dry. So I'm just going to hold it until the hot glue sets up. And baby wipes are your friend in the craft room. Now that lid's not going to glue itself back on next time because it's got that petroleum jelly in there. And I'm going to put some hot glue in the corners just because it came apart so easy before. I thought I'm just going to reinforce it a little bit. Okay, so here's my bunnies. We're going to glue those little bunny tails back on to the purple ones. Okay, get that done, and I'm just going to kind of, while I'm checking to see if the little hangers on the back, I want them to be facing the right direction, facing upward, just in case we want to hang them up at some point. But I'm just going to eyeball this. You can measure to see if you get, measure to see if you get that center one in the perfect spot, but I'm just going to eyeball it, and that looks good to me. So we're just going to get these hot glued on, and I am making two because one is for me and one is for a gift. So yep, get those all glued back on, and like I said, I'm just eyeballing, and I do notice this not perfect, but that's okay. It's perfectly imperfect. It's a craft, it's handmade, so it's probably not going to be perfect. So like I said, I'm not going to use that bow, but this is what I'm using instead. I made these, gosh, I don't know, a long time ago for a garland, and I put the garland together, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this at all. They hung funny. They were all whopper jawed, and I couldn't get them to hang right, so I just took it apart, and I thought, I'm going to save these things and use them for something else in the future, and here we are. So this is what we're going to use them for. And like I said, I'm using them in place of the big bow that was on the other one, on my inspiration piece. So I'm just going to put them right there. Glue them on, make sure you got them in the place where you want them, kind of lay them out first, and kind of do a dry fit first. So here we go, we're just going to get those glued on. Trying to get them where I want them. I don't want them to be, laying down too much. I want them to be kind of standing up a little bit. So I'm going to put a big old blob of glue in here. I'm going to put a big old blob of glue in there, a whole bunch, which I did. And I wish I wouldn't have, because I had to hold on to it forever before it set up. But here it is, all put together there, and I've got glue strings. Oh, I hate those glue strings. They drive me nuts. But it is what it is with the hot glue, right? So anyway, I decided it needed a little something else, so I grabbed some of these flowers. Like I said, I keep everything, so grab some of these little flowers that I had. I had two yellow ones and a white one, so I'm thinking maybe I want to do one with a white one. I kind of like it. I really like the yellow, but I kind of like that white one too. So I'm just putting these on, saying maybe I could use them both on this one, but I know right away that that's not going to happen. I don't like it that way. So I'm just going to glue these on with a little bit of hot glue. Just like this. I'm almost at hot glue. Got just enough in there to put a dab in to hold that flower on. And I pretty much know right away that I don't really like the white one as well. And I can't get it to lay right. Cannot get that thing to lay the way I want it to. It's not cooperating. So let's tear it back off and see if we can't get it to do what we want it to do. It has other things in mind. It doesn't want to do what I want it to do. So come on, get in there. Okay, all right. If you're gonna be that way, I'll just use the yellow one. For whatever reason, I think the yellow one's gonna work out better, but it does. It does work out better. So we'll get that one put on. Hold on to it for a minute. I'm still a little bothered that I couldn't get that white one on right though. But that's okay. It's all right. There we go. I'm bothered by the white one. Okay, so we're going to go over the second coat now of this Mod Podge. I just want 2 coats of Mod Podge on this wooden bunny so we can get the paper decoupaged on and roll this back up. Even though I don't think I'm going to need it again, just in case I do, I'm going to keep it in that bag for now. Okay, so I was going to put this together now, but I'm noticing it's not quite dry. You can see the Mod Podge is still a little bit wet, so we're going to have to be patient and leave it sit a little bit longer. In the meantime, I'm going to embellish the egg, and I'm going to do this off camera because, I don't know, I just want to kind of relax and just do it, you know, without worrying about if my hands are in the way and blocking the frame and, you know. They got lots of different ribbons to choose from here. I have some cheesecloth. I actually coffee dyed this bit of cheesecloth, and I have this. So, and I've got some twine. So I'm just going to kind of embellish the egg, and I'll show that to you right here in the end. I'll show that to you, but here it is. And I'm thinking it needs a little something else, like a bow or something, but I don't want to, I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of bow I want. So I decided to do some twine and these buttons. It's in a Planters peanut jar. This thing is old. It's got some old buttons in it, and I'm gonna pick the perfect button out of there, and I'm gonna make a twine kind of a messy, like I said, I'm going for rustic here, so I want it to look kind of messy and just messy. So I'm just going to wrap it around my fingers a few times, and how many times you wrap it around depends on how big or how full you want your bow to be. So I'm just going to wrap it around. I don't know how many times I did, but a few times until I think it looks about right. And then I'm going to take another piece and cut another piece off to tie it up with in the center. And if I can get it off my fingers without it coming apart on me, so I don't have to wrap it around my fingers over again. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to tie that other piece of twine around the middle and get it trimmed up, get the tails trimmed off, and just play around with it until you get it to look how you want it to look. So there's no real way to say, here's how you do it. You just make it look the way you want it to look. If you love it, that's what matters. So okay, so I've got it about the way I want it, and I'm deciding where I want to place it. I think I want it right there, but do I want it at the top? Nah, I want it right there. I want it right there. So I'm just going to glue it on with just a little dot of hot glue, and I am going to put a button on it, but you'll see that later. I don't think I show that to you right this minute, but I will show that to you later. Okay, and next we're going to move on to this bunny. The Mod Podge is dry, and we're going to put this paper on. So I'm not doing it the typical way you would Mod Podge, with putting the coat of Mod Podge on, laying the paper down, putting another coat of Mod Podge on, and trying to smooth out all the wrinkles and stuff. Of course, I have to try and get it perfect. I drive myself nuts sometimes trying to make things perfect when it doesn't have to be. Oh my goodness. So anyway, you want it to be close, but it doesn't have to be 100% perfection. So here we go. We're going to get it all. Oh gosh, we got to trim off a little more. Okay. So we're going to get it all lined up the way that we want it. And we're going to use a piece of parchment paper. parchment paper, and I'm going to cut it in half because I don't want to have that whole big piece to mess with. It'll be easier to work with this way. So, okay, get it all lined up just the way you want it. Just like that. And oh my gosh, I have to... Here we go again. Okay. So just lay that parchment paper over top. Make sure it's lined up the way you want it, and make sure it doesn't move. And now we're going to take this. This is my Cricut mini press, and it's just a little iron. See, it's just a little iron. And trust me, it gets as hot as a regular iron. So don't touch it. That's for sure. If you do, you only do it once. But okay, so just iron it. You iron it on, make sure it doesn't move around. Just iron it right on, and it's activating that Mod Podge and just making that paper stick right to it. And when you do it this way, there's absolutely no wrinkles, no bubbles, nothing. I've never had any wrinkles or bubbles doing it this way, ever. So we'll see how it turns out. You just keep doing it until you, I don't know how long really. I just did it for a couple minutes. So yeah, you can just kind of tell, I guess, when it's ready. But yeah, you just do it for a couple minutes. Iron it right on just like this. Get all the wrinkles out. There's really no wrinkles to speak of at all, so. Okay, here we go. Just about done. And we're gonna check it to see, did I do it long enough or not? Take this paper off and give it a little tap around the edges. And it's good, it's on. It is on. And there is not a wrinkle or a bubble to be seen. So it turned out just perfect, perfectly smooth and good to go. So there is another little step I'm going to take with this bunny. I'm going to take this little finger sander type thing. I think that's what you call it. But I'm just going to go around the edges, and that's where I'm getting off any paper that is hanging off the edges a little bit. And you just go one direction. Don't go back and forth with it. Just the one direction, and it takes off any paper that's hanging over the edge. It'll make a nice crisp edge, and it turns out really well when you do it like this. So, okay. The next thing I'm going to do is like I said, I'm going for rustic here. I must have used this cloth at another time and washed it out, which I don't usually do. I usually just throw them away when I'm done. But anyway, I don't need a baby wipe for this step. But I'm going to get one out anyway, just in case I make a mess or something, I've got it handy and I can just grab it. So, like I said, baby wipes are your friend in the craft room. Or at least they're mine. So I'm using some of this antique wax just to get some brown. I'm going to use this for, like I said, I want it to be rustic. So I'm going to use it around the edges. And I'm just going to put a little bit, I'm going to use the lid and just put a little bit on my cloth. I don't want to put a great big blob on there, so I'm just going to grab another index card and just kind of blot it off of the cloth a little bit, just to get it, just to play around with it for a second to make sure I don't get a giant blob on there. And pretty much as soon as I start doing this, I realize I'm going to love this. It's like, yeah, I'm going to love this for sure. So, and I'm just going to go all the way around the edges with this, make it look kind of, I don't know, dirty. Rustic, old, So here we go, and now I'm gonna go in and try to. I want to make this perfect. I gotta make this and that perfect. So, yeah, I do that a lot when I'm crafting. I think, dang, I should have left it alone, but yeah, but this turns out okay. I'm trying to control myself, so I'm gonna give a little dirty face, and there we go. I love it. I love it so much. This is definitely my favorite one. Can you tell? It's my favorite. Okay. Next, I'm going to get this. You can take this foam brush and you can wash it out and you can reuse it again later. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to throw it away, but I'm going to pull that top off and I'm going to keep the stick because I keep everything. I'm going to put it in my craft hoard, my craft stash, whatever you prefer to call it. But yeah. And now I got Mod Podge on my fingers. So I'm going to use that baby wipe I got out after all. And just kind of wipe my fingers off real good with it for now. That'll do for now. And I also made a little twine bow for this guy. And it has a little button in the middle. And I'm just going to use a little dot of hot glue right there and put his bow on. Finishing touch. Oh my gosh. I love this bunny so much. It's my favorite. Okay, so I decided I wanted to stand on the back of this thing. So I'm just using these tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree and gluing them together. I am putting that in the center, even though it kind of doesn't look like it from this angle. But it is in the center. So anyway, it doesn't matter. But these tumbling tower blocks in this frame, the lip of the frame there at the bottom just so happens to work perfectly with the size of these tumbling tower blocks. So it can kind of lean on the edge of the frame and still attach well to the other tumbling tower blocks. I'm just putting this one on. I'm just rambling now. So I'm just putting this one on to kind of support it a little bit extra. But yeah, now it's not going to tip over on me. It's not going anywhere now. So there we go. Okay, this is the last thing. Well, it's not the last thing I'm going to do, but this bunny rabbit right here, I got it from Dollar Tree. I went in one day to get some dusters and I saw it and I'm like, yeah, a little flocked bunny. I want it. $3 for this. And I'm going to turn the tag off, and all I'm going to do is, so I like this raffia. It looks good enough and everything, but I just wanted to kind of tie it in with the rest of the stuff that I'm making today. So I wanted to put a different bow on it, just so it kind of matches the other stuff I'm making better. I'm just trying to decide which fabric or ribbon I want to use for the bow. And I tried this first, but then I think, it looks kind of like a scarf. I don't think I like that one. So get out this little piece of homespun fabric that I got this at a garage sale. It's a decent sized piece of fabric, and I just ripped off strips to make bows and stuff with. And that's just the way I want it, just like this. So again, you just play around with it until you get it just the way you want it. Make it just a little bit smaller. Play with it, look at it, get it the way you want it, and there you go. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be what you want. Perfectly imperfect. I love it. Now, here we go to later on. Courtney came over and we've been wanting to make wreaths for Easter. So we got all our supplies here. The egg frames I don't end up using. I'll just tell you that right now. I end up going and grabbing a couple of round frames instead. And we got the Spanish moss that we're going to need. Couple bags of that. And there's my glue sticks. We've got a bunny butt. Courtney's going to use that. I have one sitting off to the side too. And here's this chicken wire ribbon. I'm not going to use that, but I got it out just in case I wanted to. Some speckled eggs. I got those from Walmart. And here's Courtney intently wiring her frame together. She has no idea I'm filming her. She's going to find out in just a second. There she is. So in the meantime, while she's doing that, I'll show you mine. So here is my wreath all finished. I made a bow for it and I love it. I love it. Like I said, I didn't use my bunny butt, but I really like it without it. So here's mine and we're going to show you hers. Hers looks a little bit whimsical with the bunny butt. It's really cute, I think. And she wanted a bow like mine, so I made her a bow. And yeah, she's super happy with it. Can you tell?